Welcome everyone to another Empires and Puzzles Books interview video. My name is Jeff, otherwise known as JekylandHyde in-game, Empires and Puzzles Books everywhere else. Had a little bit of a hiatus from doing the interviews as my wife and I were traveling throughout the month of July, but we are back home and I am back to business with getting into some Empires and Puzzles Books activities, including getting back to doing some interviews. We have a really cool guest with us today here. Mark, if you want to just give a little personal background on who you are, where you're from, and then we'll get into why we're talking to you today.
Okay, sure. I was born and raised in Southern California, and I'm still near that area. I'm actually living in Mexicali now, which is a couple hours east of San Diego. I met my wife now about 12 years ago, and we decided to move out this way, and I transferred my work, so it's a lot easier to be over here. We like it a lot. We have our family nearby, so it's perfect for us.
Yeah, excellent. So Mark and I feel like we've been talking forever online. This is our first time actually getting to talk directly, but we've been connected through Facebook for quite a while through Empires and Puzzles. And we have a shared experience of having international wives and international living experiences. Highly recommended. It definitely adds a unique perspective to life. Which actually is kind of a segue to the topic of today. One of the reasons I'm interested in talking to Mark has to do around with this concept of change. So he's changed his country where he's living. He's changed a lot in life. He has definitely changed alliances more than once. So we're going to get into some conversations about when and where and how to change alliances. And I'm not sure what's more significant in his Empires and Puzzles world in the last few weeks. Was a significant alliance change or a significant attack strategy change? But we're going to get into both of those today. Mark, if it's okay with you, let's talk about alliance history a little bit first.
Okay, sure.
You've sort of been a member of the who's who of EMP alliances, from Crusaders to Gravemaker, Savage Wolves, Gypsy Danger, and who have you recently joined?
The Avengers.
That's right. He is one of the. Are you? I assume you're the newest member of the Avengers.
We've had some others join us recently, but they were former members that took a break and came back. So I would say maybe I'm the newest, if you look at it that way.
All right. So let's talk about the alliance history. So I know you well enough to know that you know what you're doing with the game. You have a solid roster. You have a solid history with playing the game. So what leads a strong player like yourself to jump around and move around from an alliance here or there?
Well, it didn't always start out that way. In the very beginning, I had absolutely zero clue what I was doing.
None of us knew what we were doing at the beginning.
And then when I got my levels high enough to join an alliance, I joined one, and the leader of that group, unfortunately, just wanted to put people together, so we had enough to go to war with other teams, but we really had no strategy or anything like that as far as what to do. Half of the players didn't even have enough heroes to have 6 teams. So that was early on. And let's see. So I stayed there for a while. I got to say, I probably started about 3 years ago. If you wanted to get back into the history, but I don't remember the exact date. Later on, when I reached about level mid-40s or something like that, I finally branched off, and I went to a group called Illumination. I played with them for a while. They were a lot of fun, and that was really when I started to learn to level up certain heroes and stuff. Then later after that, I joined Gravemaker. I can't remember the exact date, but I was talking with Ella, and she convinced me, oh, maybe you're just kind of outgrowing the previous group. You know, you come over here and I'll teach you more. And then I learned a lot with her, you know, and then the same thing. I was there a few months. I wanted to branch off and try something a little harder. Then I went with Crusaders, then eventually Savage Wolves, those guys. I just kind of bounced around a bit because I knew people in several of these alliances. And, you know, I'd never had any problems with any leadership or any of the other players. I just wanted to play with some of the people that I knew, because honestly, that's like half the fun of the game, you know.
Sure, you make those personal connections.
Yes, I mean, I have a bunch of friends in the game that I talk to regularly, and so I played with those guys. I played with Gypsy Danger a little bit. I went back to Crusaders, and then finally I had an opportunity. They're like, "Hey, we've got an opening at Avengers." One of my friends, a player named Midnight Oil, said, "Hey, why don't you apply for it and see if you get in?" Right? Well, okay, let's see what happens. I texted them my roster and my troops. They're like, "You're in if you want it." I'm like,
Nice.
oh my God, I'm not really ready because, I love the people in Crusader and I didn't want to damage any relationships there because I talk to those people daily still and have a lot of respect for them and the way they do things. They're very organized as well. But I also wanted the chance to challenge myself to something harder. So that's ultimately what led to that decision to change.
Sure. Let's not go without addressing your T-shirt. Excellent shirt for the new alliance.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
There you go. So, and before we get too far into this, I should back up a little bit. Let's talk about
Sure.
your player name. I always like to talk about the history of the player name. So, do you want to talk about what your player name was for the longest time, and then what provoked the
Sure.
recent change?
Oh, Charvel, because as a kid, I loved 80s rock and roll, 80s heavy metal, and they made the coolest guitars back then. I actually owned a few of them, and I still do, but I can't play for crap, but I own guitars. So I like the name, and then obviously the year I was born. So
All right. So you were
I just
Charvel
kept that.
74, and
Yeah.
now you moved. You had a name change with coming to Avengers.
So I just changed it to Heimdall to fit in with the theme, Then I still put my name in there next to it. Still kept
Sure.
Charvel, but Heimdall is my Avengers name.
Excellent. So let's get back to the conversation about changing alliances. So for
Sure.
the player that is serious about the game, they're happy with their alliance for the most part, but they probably are getting that feeling that there might be something more for them in the game and they can challenge themselves. What would your advice be on? I've talked to a lot of players that struggle with that decision. Do I stay with the crew that I really like, but they're limiting my advancement in the game, or do you make the jump?
I say go ahead and make the jump, but always do it in a way where you're not going to burn your bridges, because you did make friends with those people, you do have a connection with them, but at the same time, you're actually putting real time, money, effort into this game. So if that's something that you want to try, you should absolutely go for it. Because it's going to open your eyes to a new way of playing, a new way of strategy. There's going to be 29 other players that can evaluate, your style of play. If you guys share war hits, videos, or something like that, they help you make your teams, everything like that. So a new set of eyes, whether it's you're going making a lateral move to another alliance that's equal strength or stronger, you're going to get a new perspective on how you do things.
All right. And now what about this? This is something else I hear from kind of the strong players that haven't made the jump to a top alliance. And I know I felt this way, and I imagine you did too at some point. I don't want to be in one of those top 10 alliances or the top 50 alliances because they're all crazy. They're spending an insane amount of money, and there's probably high expectations, and you're probably stressed out every single war if you do bad.
I would say that was true till I went into the first war, and then I just treated it like any other war I've ever had. I just really focused on the heroes that I was using, the team I was attacking, and just took it slow. Just play your game slow, make your moves deliberately. Don't be in a rush. It's the same as any other war.
Now, how do you feel about potential expectations or pressure on performance?
Same thing. You just got to take it easy, and the board sometimes going to dictate what happens to you. You just got to play it smart. Like I said, don't rush. Half of it is choosing the right opponent. If you need a debuffer, you better take it in. If you need extra healing, you better take it.
All right. So next question, feel free to say no.
You got to plan smart. Go ahead.
I say for next question, feel free to say no comment. But when I interviewed UCLA Pack, as her admission, she said, don't talk to me. if the war is not going well, she self-acknowledged throwing a phone already, with if war goes bad. Do you feel that vibe as a member of Avengers? Like, do you get her level of intensity and passion for the game?
I would say that most of the alliance has a lot of intensity, but I haven't heard of anybody throwing their phone.
Hey,
yeah. If you were to look, if we weren't blurring out the comments, you might see a few curse words in there. I mean, today with Rush, even though we did win, but there was a few that said, some choice words in there.
Rush, I think for everybody, sometimes the community has to watch what we wish for. So many people wanted to do away with healing aid wars, and now look what they gave us. I know,
I would much rather have it back.
Yeah, I never minded healing aid wars. I understand why people were frustrated with it. I do feel healing aid was more strategic than Rush. It was not quite so.
Definitely.
Not so. The luck factor in Rush definitely seems to be more omnipresent, in my opinion.
And it doesn't matter like what heroes you bring sometimes too. You can bring a lot of mana control heroes, a lot of healers, whatever. If you don't get the right board, you're done.
Yeah, if you don't have the tiles, they're not controlling anything.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so let's jump in a little bit here and talk, because you also went through another big Empires and Puzzles life change, and you were actually starting this change before you moved to Avengers. You were just in the process of dabbling with being a longtime mono player and starting to play 3-2. And I know you and I had some candid conversations about the bumps along that road when you were first starting. And to me, as somebody who talks to you regularly, it was interesting because you went from, hey, I'm trying to do 3-2, and then like 3 weeks later, you're like, hey, I'm an Avenger. It was like things move quickly in your world.
But I did move back and forth a couple of times, and the first time I didn't do so well with 3-2, so I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna bounce back, see what happened with mono again. And then, I've made a decision about 4 or 5 months ago. I've seen a lot of players and Crusaders were actually having a lot of success with 3-2. And we actually dedicated one line group to helping each other make teams. And I just tried that out. It helped a lot. And then I actually sent my Hero Plan roster to UCLA Pack. She made me a set of teams. And then the next war went like 5 out of 6 or something. I just absolutely kicked butt. And the one board that I didn't win, it was close, so I felt that 3-2 in the long run kind of gave me more chances at making a bad board turnaround or something like that. It was like all or die, like there was no in between.
I cannot imagine going into war with teams that were suggested or created by someone else on the level of the Avengers and expecting to perform. That is definitely kudos to you for being able to do that one.
This was before I joined Avengers. I was still in Crusaders, and I was when I got those teams, I actually put them as my presets. This is what I recommend to anybody else too. Have a lot of preset slots available on your roster, right? And just set those teams and just raid like crazy with it. Mm-hmm. Try to find teams that are identical to what you may see in war. You're not going to have the same war raids per se, but look at the same formations and look at those the heroes in the front, right? And practice against those. And then get very, very familiar with your team's synergy and how to use them. Then when you get to war, it's gonna be a lot easier. Don't just throw those teams in war and see what happens.
Yep.
That's definitely not the right plan.
Yeah, that's excellent advice. And actually, one of the things that we do in 7 Days Ascended is we'll set our raid defense to the normal formation and do a typical war defense team, and then we can practice with different teams on that. We're doing the friendly fights within the alliance. Because with raid formations now, raid formations now, it's a pain to try to find people who have a typical war defense, and then you're almost never going to find a typical Rush war defense. Not that you can actually play at Rush anyway, but you can still at least see how the heroes are interacting. But yeah, take advantage of the friendly fights. I mean, they're fun to play and to do goofy things with your alliance, but they can also be a great training ground. So let's talk about your new teams. Let's talk about the synergies you got. So I appreciate you sending these to me. I'm looking at your first team here, which is Holy and Nature. And one of the things I noted with your 3-2 teams compared to the mono teams that you sent is there's less direct damage dealers. There's more support heroes and kind of building this, for lack of a better word, conversation between the teams so that they're working together. So you have
Okay.
Professor Lindenbrock with Sif on the holy side, and then you have Ratatoskar, Frigg, and Phileas Fogg. So
Okay, so the idea with that team is you got a lot of healing going on. You want survivability in the teams, and that's a common theme you might see in a lot of the Avengers team builds. Okay, you're looking to win, maybe not right away, but you're going to live. It's a longer fight, you're going to survive longer.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that team is set up, Lindenbrock is average on the first hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I put Sif next to her, she goes off, she's boosting the mana for the 2 heroes next to her. So that's why Rat's next to her,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. So that's why that team is set up that way.
Yeah, and then obviously you have Frigg and Phileas with the defense downs and the snipe hit there.
Yeah, they'll do a ton of damage there. But I like to use that team against AoE hitters, you know. So if Sif is up, she's just going to reflect that hit and do most of the damage. That takes care of a lot of the enemies right there.
Sure. And a good thing for, I think, for those watching this to pay attention here is the troop levels too. He has strong troops, but they're not insane. Like, I think there's often this expectation or this thought that if you're in one of the top alliances, you have to have multiple copies of 30 level troops, and that's simply not true. I think sometimes who you're matching your troops with and how you're utilizing them is more important than just simply having them maxed out. So excellent.
That's true.
Excellent troops, by the way.
Thank you.
All right, so team 2 we're looking at, and this may be a surprise to some folks too who aren't used to play on this level. You got a 4-star in here, which is not uncommon. So this is your dark and ice team with
Okay.
Ariel, Killhair, Krampus, Sabina, and Cobalt. So what are we doing with this one?
A ton of fun. So I would say this, in most of my teams, the goal is to have a cleanser, debuffer, at least 1 healer, sometimes 2. And that team, like we're seeing a lot of heroes with taunt, and you know, you're going to go for a lot of CCAD. You want to be able to debuff those other players to be able to take them down. And 2 healers to stay alive. You're getting the attack boost from Krampus and the taunt. That team's a lot of fun. Let them hit you, and then when you got that boost up, you're gonna destroy them with Killhair and Cobalt. So.
All right. So here's a question about this team. I always find it interesting when you're on offense. Mm-hmm. What is your thought process in trying to time when to fire Cobalt?
Well, it all depends on what's going on with the other side. There's no set answer to that, but I find him on his first charge, he's pretty weak. Mm-hmm. You know, he's only hitting 1 hero. Ideally, I like to use him at 2 or higher. Mm-hmm. But if it's an emergency or if I can kill him in a certain situation, I'll use it earlier.
Yeah, not the strongest sniper, but I'm with you. Sometimes, like, if somebody's weak enough and you can just eliminate somebody from the board, it's sometimes worth taking that first shot.
Yeah.
But it just delays getting to the second shot.
Yes, even longer.
All right. So now this next team is another nature holy, and there is Professor Lindenbrock and Ratatoskar again. Do you have 2 copies of those, or is this just a different variation of the team?
I have actually 3 professors and 2 rats, but the second one, I need to get more emblems on that one. That's a work in progress. I'll probably be resetting a hero to make that happen.
Sure. And this is the one with Malozi, C. Catalin, and Liana.
Yeah, so CCAD, you know, that really screws up when the opponent is trying to hit you, because if my team's going to dodge them, they can't hit me. So that team stays alive very well. And then when you have Ratatoskar go off, and all those green tiles are hitting for a lot more strength. So that team is very resilient as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me to see Malozi and Liana, and back there you had Phileas Fogg. I have been moving away from snipers. Don't know that I'll move back to them. I think I've built so many hit 3 teams for challenge events and ninja towers and things, and I've seen the power of stacking a couple of those hits in a row that you can hopefully take out more than one hero. But it's nice to see the snipers are still alive and well.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I know that you love to use, what's his name? Who's the green guy?
Sielkinen.
Elkinen, yes.
Yeah.
I like that guy too, but I got so many healers that are clerics. I don't have enough emblems for him.
Yep.
You know, and you see how many cleric healers I have: 3 professors, 1 aerial, and I got a couple of regards with 18 emblems.
Yep.
No extra to go to him, unfortunately. And
yeah, cleric is
healers
tough.
are going to take priority. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Cleric is tough for sure. Looking at my mess here, I also, my green team, I have the Hatter, who is cleric, C. Elkinen, and then I did a second C. Elk, Mother North, 2 Toxicondras, and 2 Ariels and a Kunshin.
See, they're all clerics.
Yep, all clerics. And then you still even have like, I mean, it took me forever to get max emblems on Hawkmoon, because it's like, I do emblem 3 stars, but I just could not stomach putting cleric emblems on a 3-star. I'm with you. That's a hot class to get emblems if you're fortunate to have a lot of those.
We do get them pretty rapidly now, so it could happen in the future. That's why another reason why I brought up a second Ratatoskar, because he's a monk, you know, so I can use other emblems on him instead.
Yep. Yeah. See, I like. Now again, this goes to my tile killing teams that I build. So I have Karnov and Monk. Karnov boosting the dark tiles, Monk, or excuse me, not Monk. Hello, Ratatoskar and Karnov, who are both monks, and they both boost tiles. So they sucked up a lot of my monk tiles, or my monk emblems. Man, I'm jumbling words today. Are you following me? I feel like I know what I'm saying.
I got you.
But I really like those tile boosting heroes like that. And there is, I forget her name, the fire that's coming out.
I can't remember from which event.
She's gonna be. Hold on,
Is it part of season 4 or part of the Magic Tower? I forget.
No, she's season 4. Zenobia. She hits like Jabberwock, but boosts tiles like Karnov and Ratatoskar. So I'm gonna be excited.
That would be an awesome hero to have. Yep. I'd like to have one of those in every color.
You know? Yep. So now your next team, all bragging rights guaranteed here with your 3rd Professor Lindenbrock, and Odin, Devana, Lepiota, who's one of my new favorite heroes. I just maxed a 2nd Lepiota, and Dr. Moreau.
That's another fun team. Lepiota is absolutely awesome. And when you could totally just shut down a hero by putting them into ghost mode, that puts the game in your favor right there.
I'm not one to ever say a hero is overpowered, and I definitely don't think Lepiota is overpowered. But for her to be able to ghost at fast speed is pretty crazy. Like I've already ghosted a majority of a team just with 1 Lepiota. With 2 of them, I've already ghosted an entire team, which is hilarious. Like it's kind of hard to keep it together when the board, you can ghost the entire board. And you're just waiting for people to come back alive to take them out.
The current alliance leader, Mimi, she actually has a team with 2 Lepiotas. And I've seen videos. It's absolutely awesome to watch. Yeah,
they're fun. If you haven't seen any of the videos, I have at least 1 up. I might have a couple up, but Lepiota is by far one of my favorite heroes right now. Actually, my current rating mono dark team, I'm using Guardian Panther for the defense down.
Okay.
Moreau to follow up with the strong hit. So hit 3 with Guardian Panther, hit 3 with Moreau, both fast, and then another extra fast hit from Hannah. So
nice.
That they'll, the hit from the 3 of those will either kill people or, mortally wound them, and then the 2 Lepiotas will ghost who's left. So I don't even use the healer anymore on that team. Like there is,
not to mention that Dr. Moreau is going to blind them or make them horribly inaccurate with that special as well. That's a great combo right there.
Yeah, it's been a fun team. Like I said, I have just did away with the healer spot altogether. And it's a fast team too. Everybody is fast speed.
Sorry, I have to channel my inner Budman 69 right here.
Yep,
Okay.
there you go. Shout out to the Budman. He actually just sent me a message within the last hour. He's like, "Hey, when are you doing another interview?" I was like, "I'm actually doing one in about 45 minutes." So here's the Budman. So let's talk about this team in a little bit more detail
Sure.
here. So I failed to mention that the top of your teams, you kind of have them labeled a little bit for us. So this is your Bara
Yes.
debuff team.
Okay.
So what kind of teams are you looking to attack with this?
Okay, so that means that I can attack a Bara tank, and then I also have a debuff on that team. I try to have debuffs on every team. I think there's one or two teams where maybe don't have it. So I'll maybe focus on it could still be a purple tank, but it might be another one in that situation.
Okay. All right. And your next team here, I was trying to figure out your shorthand here. Barrow with a G flank, just a green flank.
Green flanks, yes.
All right.
So if there's a Bara tank with green flanks, we don't see too many of those.
Mm-hmm.
On occasion, you'll face teams where they're not all 30 defenses, or in the same formation as far as the elements.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not seeing green flanks. You're not seeing frigs.
A few here and there,
Yeah, I'm definitely still seeing a lot of frigs. So this team you have up is Black Knight, Garnet, and Gefyan, and then Frida and Lord Loki. Lord Loki's probably my second newest favorite hero.
Oh my God,
too.
that guy's so cool. I want to level a second one.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
The problem with heroes
So
like
with
Lord
that-
Loki and Lepiota is they're hard to play because you're laughing so hard.
Yes. It's like, did that guy actually do that? I think Lord Loki is absolutely awesome. Like if you use him I use him in Rush War today, you get a special up and then he could duplicate anybody. So obviously you got to duplicate Elfreak and just screw up the other side.
Yeah, actually, another shout out to the Budman 69. We did an attack revenge video the other day. He attacked me with his newly minted first limit broke 5-star hero, and he made a comment of beating me with that hero. Well, I don't have a 5th Aether yet for 5-star, so I don't have any limit broke 5s. So I revenged him, but I used Lord Loki and used his line broke 5-star back against him. So
there you go.
I was like, you want to boast that you have one and I don't, I'll have to come back with your own. But yeah,
You take care of that.
Lord Loki's awesome. For those of you who aren't familiar with Lord Loki, he basically you can choose your target and he becomes them for that special, which is pretty fascinating. I think anybody who's been playing the game for a while understands what a pain in the ass Black Knight is with the taunt and attack up and everything else. Now, here's an interesting thing. I have not played with this enough to know. I noticed that you're using Frida on this team that's elemental defense down.
Yes.
So when you use Lord Loki, if you are choosing a hero that's a different element, will there still be that defense down because Lord Loki is ice? Or does it have to be another ice hero you're...
I didn't even think about that when I set the team up. Actually, I just wanted to have a debuffer in there. So I can't confirm nor deny that. I can get back to you on that.
Yeah, do some testing on that. I'd be curious to see. I have both of them too, and I use them on the same team frequently, so I should pay attention to that too. I never really noted if there's that extra defense down or not. And then Garnet, I'm pretty confident that I feel she's one of the best healers in the game right now. I'm in the process of leveling a 3rd Garnet. And Gefyan, sadly, I pulled my emblems off of her because I needed to get Onyx up to, again, we're playing that game all the time, right? Dancing around where the emblems go.
Yes.
But Gefyan is just absolutely beautiful with the ability to steal a minion and then smack them incredibly hard.
I'm looking at maybe rearranging that team and somehow what I did sample with, I pulled Garnet out of there and actually threw Curl in there for my healer, and then I put the new red 5-star from Slayer. I can't pronounce her name. Saoirse or something like that.
Or something, yeah.
And then when I had the attack boost from BK, the defense down from her, then you hit with Gefjon. I was hit like 1700 on some of them.
Overkill.
Wow. That's a lot of fun, but she is a little bit slower. The team, you got to be a little more patient with that one.
Sure. Yeah. When you have that much power going into it, you're killing the hero and their family at that point.
Yeah, anybody nearby.
All right. So this next team here, this would be an awful team to fight, other than the fact that it's 3-2, so it would be easier to color stack against it. But what an awful evil team here. Elizabeth and Hannah both giving fiends, and then Emilio and Gravemaker giving all kinds of burn. Like I need to shower after getting hit by this team. You have so much stuff on you. And then Barra for good measure. Now the interesting thing about this team is there isn't really a healer on here. You get the cheater healing from Barra minions.
Well, Emilio does a little bit of healing over time too, but it's very, very minimal.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole idea of that team is in 6 tiles, in either fire or I think it's 7 with the dark,
Mm-hmm.
you could have 4 of the heroes up. The only one that's 9 tiles is going to be Elizabeth.
Right.
So if I can get Barra up, the other team's done, because my minions are going to be going to work, and then a death by a million paper cuts for that team.
Yeah, that just, like I said, it just makes you feel dirty. You're getting hit by fiends, you're getting hit by minions, you got things burning all over the place. That is
It's a fun team, but it because it doesn't have a debuffer, I really can't use that against like a Barra team. Like I could use probably against another dark tank,
Mm-hmm. All right. And I'm just gonna, we don't have to get into detail on these. I'm just gonna cruise through, and I'm gonna show a couple of the images from your previous mono teams.
Sure.
So those are popping up now, so people can take a look at the teams you used to use when you were playing mono. And you can see they look drastically different. The flavor of the teams, not just the obvious 3-2 versus mono, but the synergy being built and the teams being used are drastically different. So do you ever go back now with mono? I mean, I assume not in war, but in raiding or anything else?
Or like sometimes raid tournaments or something. If I feel like a certain color is working good for me, I may try that. Obviously with Titans, but not in wars anymore. I won't do it in wars.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, some of the events, obviously, where mono is going to work good, because you're going to replay those boards anyway, so you get something that's good for you.
Sure.
But not in war. So.
Yeah, the problem I have, and I get people all the time asking me about switching over to 3-2, and Spock and I a month or so ago did a whole interview chat about mono versus 3-2. My problem with 3-2 is I have the same problem with 3-2 that I have with mono. If it's a bad board and I'm not getting either tile, I'm in a bad place. Because the reality is, if you feel like you have a strong team, if you feel like you can play the board, and if you feel like your team can beat whoever it is you're attacking, other than making obvious errors, which I'm good at doing, but putting errors aside, we're at the mercy of the board either way. So I have been dabbling, probably more with an influence from maybe the Jabber J video, with doing some 3-1-1 teams, where I have basically the 3 is a mini mono team, and then I have 2 healers of different colors. Again, looking for that longevity, just trying to keep that 3-person killing team together. And I was having some success with that, but it was kind of bouncing a little as far as success. And now I'm coming back to a 4-1 setup where the 1 is a healer and the 4 may or may not have a on color healer. So I guess I'm not convinced yet to give up the potential tile damage from the 4 to the 3. Have you dabbled at all with 4-1, or did you just jump right from mono to 3-2?
I've never tried that. I feel like 4-1 is nearly just doing mono, because if I get the tiles up for that one's not going to do as much damage, I guess. But I guess you kind of learn to adapt, like whatever setup you're using, you're just going to get familiar with how that works. And I would say each setup works differently. Like when I was playing mono, I'm going for the quick get 9 tiles, then get the specials up. You could take out a whole side. 3-2, it's a lot different. You know, you're playing the long game kind of.
Mhm.
You know, you're not gonna kill them instantly with specials or tiles. You're gonna wear them down over time and win that way.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how that will work if and when the meta changes again. Because I know when I first started playing, like the thing you never wanted to see in a war defense was somebody who had Mother North or Albi. And now, I mean, you never really see those on war defenses except in Rush. And
Yes.
I think one of the things that's unique about the current meta of war defenses, especially at the top, is it's rare to see a healer in war defense unless it's Garnet, maybe a Professor Lindenbrock. So there is this system that's working now that if you go in healer heavy, you can wear down the enemy and just kind of keep picking them apart until they're just not there anymore, and you get the win. So I'm going to be curious to see what happens with healers moving forward, if there becomes more healers that become attractive on defense, and if we need to change that, because I'd be concerned, and I'm doing it too, I'm going in healer heavy. I'm going to be concerned if it becomes a battle of the healers on some level, it's going to stall the timer out, and that's never to the advantage of the attacker.
Right.
I don't know if you've seen the healer that's coming out. I forget their name, and I think it's a hero of the month coming out, maybe September. That 50,
Is it
50
the ice one?
yeah, some like 50% critical and chance increase to the tiles.
Oh wow. Okay.
So I think that there's going to be some game changing things that go on with some of the healers, but this latest thing works. I mean, it definitely, the war of attrition, I think, is definitely favoring the attacker at this point, except in Rush. You do not want a war of attrition in Rush.
No.
So how let's talk about that a little bit. How have you modified your gameplay for Rush?
Well, we I don't want to give away too much strategy, but I'll say
Sure.
we help each other to plan teams for all war formats.
Sure.
And without giving details, we'll share those teams with one another and give each other guidance on how to make those teams better. So I've been leveling some more heroes, more mana control heroes, some more Proteus. There's a season 3 guy, I can't pronounce his name, Tekka or something like that, that green looking guy.
Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm. Sure.
So I maxed a couple more of each of those. And then like with that format, I went 3-1-1 because you don't know what child is going to pop up. So if you can get one of your mana control heroes up, at least maybe try to slow down Outbreak, or better take her out right away.
All right. Yep.
I mean, that's like the focus right there.
Sure.
You want to take her out and take out Mother North early if you can.
And it was a very diplomatic answer. Definitely not trying to pry behind the Avengers curtain there. So I appreciate you dancing there a little bit.
No worries.
So what is your feeling? You've been in the game 3 years. Mm-hmm. Well, actually, let me ask you this to set up that question. A question to set up a question. If you had a guess, well, now don't even try to do the math. Just go with your instinct. In 2021, this year, how many new heroes do you think SG released? 3, 4, and 5 stars all combined. How many new heroes do you think have been released this year?
Well, there's been a lot of new events. I would say each event probably has like 10 heroes. I'd say 40 or 50 new ones, maybe more.
64 new heroes this year.
See, my count's way off. And we're not even done with the year yet.
Nope. We have 64 already this year. There is 17 more that are slated that we know are coming by the end of the year. And if Small Giant meets whatever deadline they have to add 2 new more, like there's supposed to be 2 more new challenge events, that's going to be another 20 to 22 heroes, depending on if they do a 10 or 11 release on those. So we're looking at potentially upwards of 100 new heroes just this year. So with that setup, what is your feeling about the pace at which the game has changed in the last year to year and a half compared to, you've been playing for 3 years, so you've had a year and a half of what felt, I think, to a lot of players as kind of a normal pace. And now in this last year to a year and a half, there seems to be an accelerated pace of new events, new material, new heroes, new everything. Where does that put you as a player?
I think that all changed when didn't SG get sold to Zynga or something like that recently? It just feels like
that was over
it
3 years
longer?
ago. Yeah.
Was it? Okay. It just feels like anything, like when a corporate change or a different company takes over, there's a different direction to focus more on making more revenue instead of quality. It's quantity versus quality here. And that seems to be the focus lately. I mean, look at the Slayer heroes. They look a lot different than everybody else. I don't know. The new specials and everything are cool, but I just don't think they put enough time and energy into that. It feels like everything is being rushed also. I would also mention this. I'm a beta tester, and then there's only, like, you would think they would really want to focus and get these events down so everything is super smooth and that the heroes are all working well. They basically put them through, like, maybe to test for a couple of times, a few days each time. They'll make a couple tweaks, and later on they'll put it back in there. It was like, to me, it's being really rushed.
Yeah, it definitely feels like
a couple of new events.
You know, I'm somebody who, obviously, I put a couple books out on the game. I put videos out on the game. So I try to stay on top of what's coming out. But the sheer volume of new heroes and new specials, and just trying to keep, I mean, it is, Empires and Puzzles is probably the most complex thing I've ever played or been involved in. And when you think about every new hero has its own class, its own emblem path, you know, now we have the limit breakers. Like, there is so many factors to weigh in: offense, defense, war, raid, you know, which event are we using this hero in? And to me, I feel like I got to a point now where my brain's saturated. Like, I'm like, I go to reach for hero, I don't even remember. I think you actually asked this earlier, like, wait, which event is that hero from? Because it's like, it's hard to even figure out. You know, 2 years ago we knew exactly who an Atlantis hero was and even who a Valhalla hero was, but now it's like, you know, I'm still not even sure, was Toxicondra from the villains or Morlovia? You know, it's I do believe it was villains, but I was talking to somebody the other day and I swore Toxicondra, I mean, she feels like a Morlovia hero, and but it was from the villains event. It's like, I barely remember the villains event. We only had it, you know, 5 days, one time this year, and we probably won't see it again until next year somewhere.
That's what's so disappointing. You didn't know, like, how good the hero was going to be. Like Toxicondra, that was one I wish I would have got. Now I got to wait for a long time to even have another shot at her. You know.
Yeah, and I'm sure that is an excellent.
That's what there's too much.
And I'm sure that factors into their financial plan. I mean, obviously, I mean, I don't even know exactly how I ended up with 2 Toxicondras, but she's fantastic. And I know what I know now, if I didn't have her, I'd be pulling heavy the next time that event comes out. So I think there is that ability to mess with us, to get us excited about a hero. And now we got to wait almost a year. And now, so when Villains comes again, if people want Toxicondra and there's other great heroes from that event, you only have that 5 days. It's like, otherwise you're not going to get another chance for, you know, if they follow through with getting 2 more challenge events out there, that we're going to look at 10 challenge events, and there's only 12 months in a year. So that's pretty bad.
Lord,
yeah. So are you
how about the hero you and I both been wanting? Can I mention, when are they ever going to ever put Custom Leo as a featured hero? Right?
You know what? I've almost given up on my holy team. But yeah, no, I'm with you. You know, 2 months ago, I maxed emblemed regular Leo, 4 costume Leo's talent path, and I just figured, you know, that'll give me. Yeah, I was like, at least I'm ready. If I get costume Leo now, he is already done. I just need to actually pull the hero.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, it's funny, and I use regular Leo now maxed every now and then. I think I used him in Rush today, just because, like, I have them. Like, I feel like I gotta justify that I put this expenditure into.
You're obligated now.
Yeah, regular Leonidas needs to do something. But Yeah, so I think the pace of the heroes and spreading the events out definitely changes for those that are willing to chase the pressure or the limited window to get that. I mean, if you figure here's another long-standing one that a lot of players are frustrated if they don't have it. Guardian Panther,
Yes.
right? If you didn't have Guardian Panther and you were willing to chase Guardian Panther, you had at least 2 chances a year to get Guardian Panther. But at this new rate, you might have one time a year, or if it happens to be the good year, you might get two. And I think that's unfavorable for the players, obviously favorable for the company and the bottom line, unless it creates too much frustration and people just stop pulling altogether.
That is a possibility. At least we have a 4-star coming up in the Magic Tower event that's going to give elemental defense down for dark.
Yeah,
and also going to give attack boost. That's going to be a killer hero.
Yes, not just attack boost, but like the big attack boost, like a Tarlak or a Mickey or a Ranveer. So for those of you who are not familiar, there's another tower coming out because we absolutely needed another event. We don't have enough to do. #sarcasm.
Yes.
But the Magic Tower, those new heroes have
magic. What? There's not enough levels. This one will have more.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Definitely not enough levels. Yeah, I've been reading about it. So the Magic Tower is sort of like the Ninja Tower, but it's only 25 levels to complete it. But then there are another 50 levels that you can order. You can earn bonus points and push your score up higher. So it's actually a 75 floor experience. The thing that's interesting with the new tower is there's another new mana speed, which is magic mana. And it's basically there's 2 different manas. So at 1 charge, it's sort of like the ninjas that have 3 charges. These heroes have 2. So at 1 charge, they do one thing. At a 2nd charge, they do another. But there is a dark 4-star hero that at the 1st charge does elemental defense down. So it's going to be a cheater panther. But then on the 2nd charge, it does 100% attack boost like a Mickey or a Tarlak. So that's going to be interesting. It'll be, I'm already in my brain thinking about how players are going to time that when they're doing a Titan, because you're going to want to fire that hero twice.
Yes.
And I don't know that you're going to be able to get away with just using a full mana, because if you do full mana and it goes off once and you do another full mana, you're only back to that 1st charge. So you'd actually almost need 3 manas to get that hero totally up.
True. Yes.
So interesting hero, but I mean, I guess the other option is for players like me who do have Panther, we can just use Panther for the 1st charge and do a double charge to get the 4-star up to the boost. Either way, some interesting things coming out, other new eye candy for us to all chase and spend money to try to summons if that's the route we go with things. Can you, as a beta player, are you allowed to confirm or deny if they are actively working on the other 2 challenge events?
They would be posting that like when they often post in the forum like what we're testing. So it's no secret what's going on. I mean, I just can't get into details or screenshots. So we haven't been testing anything else.
Okay. I read somewhere, like when they added villains and the circus and slayers, I heard that the goal was to get to 10 challenge events, that there was going to be a total of 5 new ones. Have you heard that as well? Is that your understanding?
I haven't heard that, no.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I would hope that I'm wrong. I'm not looking forward to 2 more challenge events. I think that just pushes.
I think it's saturated enough as it is.
Yep, agreed. So anything we did not talk about that you'd like to share?
Let's see. Okay, here's one. You probably get this a lot. Like when you're on Facebook or any of these groups, people ask for, I have such and such a heroes, who should I max? A lot of times people don't go into detail. They just said, well, should I max hero A or hero B? I would tell those players, if you're looking for advice, lay out all the details. Lay out who you have maxed in that color already. What are your options? And what is your goal for that hero? Do you want that hero for war? Do you want it for Titans? You want to put on your defense? Whatever. Give those details if you're asking for help.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Yeah, you can't just compare two heroes in a vacuum, right? You got to know who, what's your play style? Who else do you have? Yeah, very good advice. And what are your game goals? If you're looking to do well in challenge events and ninja towers and things, certain heroes are mad.
I've never really placed in those, but now I've reached my bucket list goal of getting to like the top alliance or playing in a top alliance. Now I want to buckle down and learn how to do events well. I definitely have the roster for it. I just gotta plan the items and the strategy for it. So that's next on my list. I want to start placing well in those.
I know somebody can help you
honestly,
if you want to talk.
I know. Before I just complete them for the items. I'm going to get X amount of emblems if I finish this stage or the stage. So that's pretty much what I just did before.
Sure. Yeah, no, they can be fun. I really got into them just for the game, the in-game economy. 4-star mats are hard to come by, and one of the best places to get them are the challenge events. So if you at least put in some effort, you can at least get some 4-star ascension items. And then I will always blame Keon Lee Waffles for sucking me into legendary and pushing me to do more with the challenge events. And I'm forever grateful too, because my roster would have not grown as quickly without all those extra ascension items. But Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure. I look forward to hearing more updates from you about the Avengers and whatever comes next for you. And sincerely, if you want to talk about the challenge events or the towers, let's talk offline. We can get you going.
Absolutely. Awesome. Let me say one more piece of advice to your players that are struggling and trying to find out how to play better.
Absolutely.
Work on your troops. Instead of pulling more and more heroes, they're just going to collect dust in your roster. Get your troops up.
Excellent.
Your troops are going to stay with you forever.
Excellent advice. Troops are never a bad summons. They are always useful. They are not as exciting. Yes. They are not as flashy, but they are always
You're
valuable.
Always going to get 3 and 4 stars.
Yeah, you'll always get the 3 or 4 star troop. Yeah.
Dear SG, when are we getting Hamgate number 2, please? 2.0.
Yeah, seriously, I didn't get the first Hamgate. I missed out on that. But yes, seriously, there are many of you out there, and I know you're out there, and I know I've done it, and I know Mark has done it. We have summoned heroes when we don't have the mats to level them, and we already have a pile of other 5 stars that are waiting for mats, but we still get sucked into doing summons. And the reality is, even if you have the mats, even if you pull the hero you want, even if you get a max, in war you can only use them in one fight, but those troops you can use in every single fight. So Amen. It is, especially for the people who might be doing 4-1 or mono, I think that's one of the greatest expenses with building teams that way, is it's really troop inefficient, because you have to build 5 sets of troops up. If you're doing a 3-2, you're only looking at building 3 of each color, and that's assuming you're using all the colors in your teams. So excellent advice. Appreciate that.
True.
Mark, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, I got a fight against my buddy, Mr. JekylandHyde, aka Jeffrey. Looks like I left the sound off for the game. No big deal. Here we go. Ouch. Thank you, Jeffrey.